understanding how people move, gestures, and people in an environment and in a context, and how they respond and react. And drawing for me is about making sense of all that.
People are stereotyped in different ways. The media will stereotype people differently. But if you're a general person walking around with a camera and photographing them, you can capture their emotions in the actual moment.
Watching body language, understanding what people are saying, because body language, it's 5 times more difficult to lie with body language than it is with the words people use.
In my work as an architectural illustrator, I have to include figures, because you get figures in buildings, you get figures in cities, in urban environments. So I've always considered it important to be able to draw people. Generally speaking, I enjoy drawing people because people are interesting, and I enjoy the kind of ambience and the kind of atmosphere, and I like hearing sounds and hearing people's conversations, and I suppose eavesdropping on people. Well, I mean, I've been fascinated by the building site, and that's been an obsession of mine over the last since September, since they've been building the building. And because it's just out my window, I've been fascinated by the language, the body language, and how they interact with each other. The amount of hours I must have spent drawing from my window, I've learned a lot about not just the building process, but how they react and respond to each other, how it all works. You see, the thing about drawing is whether or not you end up with something that's you're happy with, whether it's a good drawing or a bad drawing, you spent time looking and observing. And I think drawing's it's a process of inquiry, it's investigation, it's to do with appreciating or making sense of what's going on. Now, when you're drawing people, then you have to be sensitive to the people around you, and drawing's less obtrusive, isn't it? A camera's obvious, but when you draw, you could be sitting, making notes or anything.
I like capturing the moment and what's actually happening, and I think that's important because it's not made up, and it is the feeling of what it is now. And I think it's amazing anyway that a camera can capture an image from literally you pressing the button and it brings it in. It's just another world. I just don't want them to know that I'm doing it, because if I'm trying to do it slyly and they catch you, people get very awkward about it because they're a bit like, what are you doing? Or some people will go along with it and find it kind of funny or do a pose for you. But I'm not trying to do it in a weird way, I just purely like to capture what people are doing in their own life. When I was at secondary school, there was people that didn't like me because I spoke supposedly more well-spoken than what they did. So I just ended up being quite quiet, and this was at an all-girls school, so it was quite a bitchy place to be anyway. So I just ended up just watching a lot of people listen to their conversations and just kind of stepping back a bit. I used to live in a different area of Birmingham, but one of the reasons why I've moved to Digbeth is because there was a lot more to photograph around here and there's a lot more people. And as it's more known as the creative hub now and it's more popular, it's nice to see all the different people and how they dress, and they're not the kind of typical, if you lived in a small town or anywhere, people just more experiment with how they look.
It's great fun. It's lovely to be watching people because you can see what they're thinking about. You can see what their relationships are with other people, because people who are in rapport with somebody else will mirror and match each other's body language, so you can see they've got a real connection. The thing is that generally women are better at reading body language than men. It's more of a natural skill for females than it is for males. I watch alone sometimes I take somebody with me, or if I'm with somebody and there's something unusual happening, let's say in a coffee shop, look at that young child manipulating its mum and dad by upsetting and playing one against the other. In fact, if you watch people doing their emails or on Facebook, you can almost tell from their facial expressions what they're doing. Over my right shoulder, he's got really quite a strange walk, but he means business, doesn't he? Because he's moving pretty quickly, got something on his mind, going to a meeting. Look at the body language of that police lady now. Go on, she's right in a mood to have a pop at someone here. She had that quite officious body language, which people wearing uniforms have. That's why we're giving people are given uniforms so that they look more important. So the advice I give people is to shut your ears down and don't take any sounds in, and just open your eyes up a bit more and subtly watch what's going on.
So I enjoy my, it's a happy experience for me, and I carry a sketchbook around with me all the time. I had to go to hospital and spend the night in hospital, and the next morning after I'd had a small operation, and I was in my bed in a small ward with 4 or 5 other men, and I had my sketchbook, and I just sort of sitting in bed sketching them. Well, they thought I was making notes, and in the end somebody noticed that I was drawing, and of course people get very excited about that, and so I drew everybody. So it's quite fun. It can be quite an icebreaker. So sitting drawing is kind of a very personal way of interpreting people. I've got sketchbooks that go back to 1970s, so they're always nice to reflect upon. And also looking at drawings from all that time ago, the memory never fades of the places that I've been and the people I've spoken to. Drawing people, drawing the human body has always been considered, in an anatomical way, the most important activity for an artist. But drawing people out and about, in context, drawing people in their kind of professions, drawing at conferences especially. I enjoy drawing at conferences. It's very special to me. I think I feel sometimes when I'm drawing, it makes you feel slightly superior, actually. I'm the observer and they're the sort of subject matter. It's part of my life. Thank goodness, because I can't do much else, you see. I have to draw.
I'd rather people watch abroad, which I have, like places like Berlin and Amsterdam, because there's just so much going on, and there's obviously different cultures there and different people from other countries going. And I recently photographed on an international student trip in Amsterdam, and that was really interesting. Some places and people are funny about you photographing, and some people could turn, for all I know, and have a go at me about what I'm doing because of the rules, or that they purely don't like it. I have actually had that before at events where people have come up to me and be like, don't take pictures of us, and they get a bit funny at you. I'm straight, but I like to photograph girls when they look like they're dancing quite seductive or different, because it's just a nice shot to get, and of them like in their element and looking all like, oh yes, I'm having a nice time. It's for a purely creative way that I'm just interested in how other people interact on this earth differently to how I do, and how they feel about things, and you can see their emotions when you're watching them yourself, and I can capture that without them knowing that I'm there. I very, very much judge myself a lot. I have done all my life, but I think it's got worse in the last year because of trying to actually become a photographer. I want them to see it as a nice thing at the same time, that I'm documenting people's lives, or like the kind of 21st century and what it's like at this time being. I am quite a people watcher within it because I don't like people posing for pictures, so I don't have many photos like that. And even one of my friends said to me, whose event I photographed, that I'm one of the stealthiest photographers that he's ever met because nobody knows I'm taking the photos.
I was in a negotiation in Paris where clearly the other side weren't telling us the truth, but they were French and there was a language barrier and there was an interpreter. But even though we were talking in different languages, you could tell when the people were uncomfortable with what they were saying. I just look everywhere. I just think it's great fun. It's great fun, and when I'm tired I have a look round and just watch people out the corner of your eye all the time. Positive body language at 7:30 and more negative body language at 9 o'clock. Isn't that interesting? It slots into grooves, different types of people. But so if you want to connect with someone, then the mirroring and matching the other person's body language is a really powerful skill. But that has to be done subtly as well. It's not a science, it's an art.